welcome to day number 2 of the USA Overwatch World Cup Trials. It is here that we are going to find out who will be representing our country at the Overwatch World Cup in just a couple of months. My name is Tinyshiny. I'm joined by Twinsalty, and we got quite a bit of action to take you through over the next couple of hours, highlighting some of the country's best players.
Yeah, some of the best from around the United States here. We have 12 players trialing, and we want to see who will represent USA at the Overwatch World Cup just later this year. This is day 2 of trials. If you missed day 1, the VOD is here at the USA Overwatch World Cup Twitch. But we have a bunch of fantastic games for you tonight to have all these players show off their skills in front of the coaches and in front of the USA committee.
There's a lot to look forward to today, and I mean, we mentioned the players. Why not show you exactly who we'll be representing? And the fact that we have such a deep pool of talent to pull from, I think is incredible, and just shows how well developed the USA has continued to be within the Overwatch World Cup scene, and coming back after that year of a break time, and it's all the more exciting to see who's going to be ready to take the stage, because this is just the very first part of the World Cup, kicking off the trials, of course, and then leading up all the way to the playoffs that will be at BlizzCon in August or September.
Yeah, it's crazy that already in September we'll be back at BlizzCon for the next Overwatch World Cup. And obviously we just conference cups for USA and not USA, the Americas and Asia just got done last weekend. Found out some of the top teams that moved on. But the United States now get to throw their name into the mix for this next stage of the qualification process to make it to Anaheim. Obviously the United States, you would think a lot of people around the committee and the players feel they should at least make it to the event in Anaheim, but we got to get at least a roster figured out first here, Molly. That's what we're here to do tonight.
Yeah, we'll be looking over the next 2 hours or so for however many maps that we're going to be able to fit in that time. And I hope it's quite a bit. We'll definitely have plenty of action to go, but here are the 12 players that are all vying for a spot on the other side. So when we look at this team, I think there's a great combination of some old talent that we've kind of seen around the scene for a while, like Hawk, Coluge, and Sugarfree, for example, and then a lot of these new, younger up-and-comers, Kronik, Tree, for example, have really been making a name for themselves as of late.
Yeah, and even Zeruhh add to that mix. You know what? Like, a lot of these younger players kind of throwing their name into the ring, first time they've been eligible to trial for USA, and it's created some really interesting storylines for this trial, and again, a lot of connections here. You got the entire Team Liquid roster trialing here, and obviously there's a small chance they all make it, but I don't know if I'd bet on Infekted and Coluge both making it through, but it's made quite a lot of interesting situations here, because you have a lot of past connections, either current here in the OWCS, or past in Collegiate, or in other OWCS teams. So at least there's a lot of chemistry already here for a lot of these players. I'd say the one player that's kind of on the outside of that is Landon, but that's just because he's been playing in EMEA for years and hasn't really played with a lot of these players in probably several years at this point.
And don't get us wrong, he's still absolutely tearing it up in EMEA.
He's unbelievable. Yeah.
But perhaps slightly less familiar if you've been, like, NA Overwatch brained. Like, I know that there's quite a few. I admit I'm a bit NA Overwatch brained myself. But, like, even looking at this specific set, one of our favorite things, Jesse, like, we're huge Collegiate Overwatch fans, right?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
We probably are up there. I mean, your nickname is literally Collegiate Overwatch Encyclopedia, you know? That's who you are.
Okay.
It's true.
I don't know
I'm telling
about
you.
encyclopedia.
I know. Well, I'm giving you a run for your money, because out of all the players that we have here, Jesse, 10 are either currently competing or have previously competed in a collegiate organization or with a school. Most of them being now like Winthrop University, Northwood, the two big ones that we're going to see represented. And I think it really does show. It gives more of a pipeline almost for this up-and-coming talent and to continue having that level of development for them.
Yeah, I know. I think it's been crazy to that they have so many reps now outside of just OWCS, whether it be Face It for some players like Painkiller or Collegiate. It's been a lot of reps, and this has been quite a busy offseason. Obviously, Season 1, Overwatch getting slashed into 2 out of the way, and all of these new heroes. We've seen a lot of action from them already during OWCS Bootcamp. I don't think we're going to see a ton from some of those new heroes tonight. Obviously, Domina has really, stood out. Emre's kind of solidified himself as a really good hit scan option. I don't think we're going to see much of Onron or Mizuki. I think Jetpack Cat. We may see some Jetpack Cat here and there. Who knows? But this has been a really fun trial process to view. And again, a lot of these players are super flexible as well. And we'll get to see here in a minute how it all plays out, as it will be mirrored comps throughout the whole night, everybody. There is no bans, and there is no counter-swapping mid-map. It'll be preset comps by the coaching staff every single map.
Yeah, so there won't really be any swapping around necessarily. There will be a good idea of who's playing what, and I have a feeling it's going to cover a wide variety. Because again, a lot of this competition won't start for a couple months at a minimum after these trials start to wrap up. We don't know what patches are going to happen. Heck, we could have something close to as impactful as the 5 heroes that were released in February. Probably not, but hey, you never really know. So making sure that you're picking on players that have that level of flexibility that you really have the chance to show. And I think that's going to apply likely most to our tank players. Since Overwatch 2's release, or rather going back to Overwatch in 5v5, having those that are more in our traditional quote-unquote off-tank roles like Hawk and Coluge, matched up with Infekted and Painkiller. I've leaned a little more towards those main tanks. I think is going to make for an interesting dynamic, especially when you look at like maybe max 7 players making the roster total.
Yeah, the debate on tank is, do you just bring 1 player? Do you bring 2? I don't see a world where you would bring 3 tank players into the next phase of the Overwatch World Cup, but it has really created an interesting conversation, because obviously the DPS and the support conversations, it's a little bit easier, right? You got 2 main supports, 2 flex supports, and 2 hit scans, 2 flex DPS. It makes that debate at least a little easier. Granted, there's a lot of flexibility in both of those roles for those players. But then tank, yeah, it is a little bit of an awkward conversation, because you could just bring Infekted, who for a lot of his career has been a sole tank on a roster. But now this year on Team Liquid isn't, with the addition of Coluge, and Hawk has really stood out in a very similar fashion over on Space Station. So there's a lot of elements going on here, a lot of cooks in the kitchen, and it'll be fun tonight seeing some of these rosters throughout the night. They're going to swap players in and out, or swapping teams, especially for DPS and support, getting everybody kind of mixed up, see as many different variations of rosters that we can, so that the committee and the coaching staff can pick their 7 for the next phase.
And really, that's mostly going to affect the tanks, of course, only being 2 in at a time. Everybody else will just be shuffled around from what we can assume so far to get an idea of who's going to have the best synergy, whether that's from previous experiences or not. Because I think another kind of thing with the World Cup team here is that we see players, they have other commitments with OWCS, with Collegiate, you name it. So having the opportunity to have some of those pre-established synergies when you may not have the opportunity to practice as the set World Cup team nearly as much can be a huge advantage. And we'll get ready for that, or see who is starting out, rather, as we get headed to map number 1, which is confirmed to be Jang Tower. Godo Classics to get us kicked off.
It's like the map, right? Other than maybe than King Zero, but you're never going to start with King Zero. Of course, you're going to start with Control, and it's going to be Jang Tower. And look at here, Team Liberty, Team Freedom. Again, we're keeping scores, quote unquote, but with all the rosters moving, we're not really going to pay attention to that too much as the teams get loaded in for Control Center to start.
Yeah, and we do have, what is it, Lucio Bap in support, Ramatra on tank, and Genji Soj. So, not like traditionally what we're seeing as current meta, which is to be expected. Again, so many things can happen between now and when the main events and qualifiers start kicking off a little bit more. So these teams will be forced onto flexibility. I think having somebody like Infekted and Painkiller in, you're going to want to use their specific strengths as tanks highlighted more as well.
Yeah, let's see here, as it looks like it would be more of that Ramatra mirror with the main tanks for this map. So it'll be a little bit of a break for Hawk and Coluge. They get to sit this one out. Wait to see how this match plays out. But yeah, other than that, you got Sugarfree and Tree, so the Team Liquid DPS going against each other, which will be an interesting one, because obviously, again, they play with each other so much. TPs go out, and day 2 of Trials begins.
I'm really excited too to see this Zeruhh on since his debut in the Overwatch League, and Zeruhh, kind of that new guy, just became of age within the last OWCS cycle and was really lighting it up with his time on Nightmare. Now, of course, being signed over to Liquid. We get a bit of fight off in the White Room, and Tree will be the first one to strike the blow for Team Liberty. Decided to take this off angle really well and shutting down Kronik, who is kind of lighting up in the kill feed, day number 1.
Yeah, already to start off, just lighting it up. Sugarfree, though, finds one in the Genji mirror to even it up here for Team Liberty.
I managed to make it decently even, as I believe... Team Liberty now, back up on the approach. Still have the full control of the point. Man, I mean, Tree's just been on it when it's come to this Sojourn. Having the final blows, at least to open up the start. I apologize. Having a couple audio issues, but that doesn't mean my eyeballs don't have issues. Tree has just been having a blast. Somebody has to put a bit of halt to his parade there. Will be Kronik for Team Liberty, but without the Landon Baptiste, I don't think there's going to be too much pushing going on for this first part, Jesse.
Yeah, no, it'll be just Team Liberty holding server rooms. Freedom just trying to push their way around here. Again, a lot of headset on the DPS, especially those hit scans, trying to make those openings.
Actually, from Burst, Lukemino still 50% away from one of his own, and it's an easy steamroll for Team Liberty, taking the tempo beat push, a play that's becoming all the more common in these days as Sugarfree brings out the broom for everyone else.
Yeah, there you go. Another fight win for Team Liberty. 70% counting now for them as the Windows exchange, and now it'll be those DPS ults. Kronik actually a little bit ahead on the overclock for Tree, but Tree should be able to build it up here in the next few seconds for potentially the final fight of Control Center. Freedom just trying to look for any sort of opening. So far, it's been all Team Liberty.
Oh, the Ajax!
Oh,
no! The one advantage Team Freedom had down the drain, courtesy of Tree, who was starting this map off on a hot streak. OC grabs the one. Now it's just up to Zeruhh. Will he be the hero for this time? Will Team Freedom doing their best to make a dent? There's so much health still on Painkiller, has the annihilation, but seeing most of his team fall around him, highly doubt we see that come out. So Team Freedom, they'll get the cap, but that started off disastrous.
Oh yeah, if there's not many worse starts you could have to a fight. But hey, the fact that able to turn it around is still a giant plus. Finally, some point percentage there for Team Freedom. Annihilation ready to go for Infekted. Neither Amachi will have to deal with any sort of sound barrier to counteract. But Sugarfree still holding on to the blade, now trying to test it out here by Server.
Doesn't dash in, but gets chunked down to 50 HP. Loses most of its duration, but still gonna manage to set up this kill on to Zeruhh. But it's immediately traded out. Kronik yet to be removed from this high ground. There's too much of the tree show, so it's his time to kind of make a mark on things as UV. Just kind of vibing over on the high ground, but bit off way more than he can chew. Got a little bloodthirsty, seeing Landon on the support. Will just be a late stagger.
Yeah, just a little bit of a stagger there as Team Freedom. At least putting some fights now, back to back, getting some momentum going their way. Yeah, it's still Infekted, and both Ramachas, neither of them ending up using the annihilation in that fight. And now Landon already has that window up, so does Ultraviolet. Look for an early one here.
Yeah, I really want to see how these are used on the specific angles. Like, even Ultraviolet, you gotta wait until it either buys you space or guarantees control. And with an early sound barrier from Vega, the tempo being in favor of Team Liberty, they're happy to press all their shiny buttons at the same time, knowing it is that one fight territory will not matter out of Infekted. It'll be Team Liberty taking away Control Center.
This ends
Liberty
now.
take Control Center, 100 to 76, and Kronik just for fun at the end. They're trying to get something out of that overclock, and in 6 matches with those rotating rosters, we'll go over to Gardens for round 3.
Yeah, so it just being everything going on there, as it seems our players are having a bit of a time in the chat. I missed the first part of it, but Sugarfree either is offended by something or is like questioning somebody's sanity. So, really curious to see what that is. But together for that. But yeah, I think overall it seemed like the play calls were on point, and it really started from that Vega sound barrier.
Yeah, the Vega sound barrier. Took a look at the stats there. Everybody actually pretty solidly even. Not like it's anything crazy leaning one way or another. TPs go back out, and the Soldiers return to play. And already you can see Liberty all the way flanking around. Team Freedom don't want anything to do with that fight. And let's run by Coast.
Yeah, I think taking control of the point first, not a bad choice, especially when you're playing more of these Overwatch comps. The Baptiste, not a mobile hero, can get jumped on quite easily if you're not positioned correctly there. So does team. Vortex gets Kronik quite low in the back. Sugarfree saw it as an opportunity. Instead it was Vega and Lukemino trading each other out after going for a bit of an aggressive boop off the cliff. Team Liberty barely holding on. Painkiller. Shaw's health bar dwindle away. Team Freedom, they're just sticking around. It's 4v4. Neither team has a Lucio. It's more so that engage. You really want to see, before they take a full fight, will be the hands forced out of Painkillers and attempt to stay alive. Team Liberty's health bars have been suffering, though, for the past couple of seconds. It's easy pickings for Lukemino. We go ahead and change that to more permanent outcome.
Yeah, eventually the rest of the kills will fall their way, and it's a short-lived residence on the point for Team Liberty. This beautiful patience there from Team Freedom, just feeling it out, trying to get some members low, and eventually able to seal away the fight. But due to all that healing, already Ultraviolet has the window in place, but Lukemino, because of those kills, and we saw last week how much Lukemino can get involved in the kill feed, sound barrier pretty much there.
I do love watching these Lucios come to nuke it out. Like, it's kind of been the story of Jang Tower. Even got it in the highlights last time. It is the Immortality Fields. We'll go down first. It's more in response to these sound barriers that we're seeing. And because whoever can get this one up first, there's nothing Team Liberty can do to answer that out. Huge part and the benefit of having this very bloodthirsty support playstyle. I think the Annihilation may have been a bit over the top, all things considered. Team Liberty should be able to get themselves back at the point. Now we talk over the top. Zeruhh, that's a choice. If he can get something here, maybe there's a chance. It baits him towards the edge. The boop is there from Lukemino. And Infekted sees this as an opportunity to strike. Zeruhh, call him crazy, but he made that one work.
Yeah, no, that, I don't blame him at all. Like that, it's just like, hey, gotta pop this, push everybody away, let the rest of Team Freedom return to the point, and a great solo play there from Infekted to shut it all down, especially since the blade was lost during the chaos of it.
You'll at least have the sound barrier this time, but it just won't be enough to save Ultraviolet. Kronik sliced in half though, Sugarfree, blade unsheathed, looking for his Genji counterpart. That one goes a bit far out wide. Team Freedom will forfeit control in about final fight territory.
Yeah, no reason to push it too extremely heavy, and a little bit of a dive right in there. Vega onto his Team Liquid teammate in Zeruhh, but enemies for now. Trees back, overclock in hand, just trying to feel it out, but the point does flip back over to Team Freedom.
Yeah, but these Vortex has been fantastic out of Painkiller. It's helped set up Sugarfree, and in this case, Tree, when he pops his own overclock, Infekted down and out. Team Freedom will be looking to even up the scoreline here on Jang Tower, and again, I think I'm starting to see how well Infekted and these DPS starting to make these combos heard. Of course, Vega on the objective, kind of just vibing. He'll get the flip as everyone else is MIA.
Yeah, everybody else just pushing way up, just making sure that they can get some early positioning around this fight. But Team Freedom now, maybe just settling in a little bit here, Molly. Sometimes it takes a few fights, maybe a round or two, to get everything grooving. And now it looks like Team Liberty have locked in. Pushing back as Team Freedom, yeah, they've locked in a little bit more as flank here, overclock. No, we go to the window. There we go.
A gutsy play, but one that will work out with how good Tree has been looking so far this map. I don't blame Ultraviolet for going on an aggressive angle, to say the very least. No tank, though, for Team Liberty. Is going to make this a bit challenging in the long run of things, but thankfully, there's a percentage to give.
Yeah, it's not like they need to push this immediately as Infekted being aggressive, but already Nemesis form forced and just a little bit of a retreat. Needs to hold on to this Annihilation.
Way more of a survival here. You saw the pressure that Infekted was under. Painkiller, on the other hand, has the opposite effect. He's vibing on the point and Landon going down before the sound barrier hits. That's detrimental, but it's still Lukemino. Doesn't care if he has extra support or not. He'll make it work. It's Team Liberty will be final fight regardless of the outcome. Infekted knows it. He runs it down. Painkiller manages to skirt back over to the Mega Health Pack. Overtime Wick burning down slowly with Team Freedom being in control. Being attempted, couple of touches here, just kind of tiptoeing in and out of the point to get your players back. As it's Zeruhh, close to this Dragon Blade. He went from 0 to hero last time. Can he do it again here? If Infekted gets that much value, might not even need it. It's just fancy, you know? It's like, hey, look what I can do. I helped. Team Freedom leaving us out.
It's like, look, everybody, I built it. It didn't really matter near the end of it just because of everybody was practically dead for Team Liberty, but Team Freedom even us up at 1 apiece, going over to Gardens for our final round. Take a little bit of a check here at the scoreboard, see who's leading the way for Team Liberty and Team Freedom. As you can see here, yeah, Painkiller, Sugarfree for Team Liberty, 23 and 22 elims, respectively. And Team Freedom, granted, it was a little bit of a harsh start on round 1, so not expecting the elims to be anything crazy, but even Infekted, leading lobby, 11,000 damage, 2,000 more than Painkiller so far during this one. But Painkiller will look like, hey, elim check?
Actually, just pulling the stat check onto his team is Kronik. Not really sure what happened there. I think there was a teleporter that might have gone out, and he's off the map. Not the best start for Team Freedom, and hopefully that doesn't count against him too much in the long scheme of things.
Yeah, it's all right. Just cut it from the VOD.
Yep, nothing happened.
Needs to see it. Yeah, nothing happened. It's all good.
It's like specifically, like blink extra long while that happened. That's what you need to do. Team Liberty though are the ones that are set up on this objective. You know these Lucios again hunting for these eliminations. Lukemino been on the better end of it so far. At least in that specific category. Sugarfree, little low on the side. It won't be enough. That's a collab actually out of Kronik to get this point started off right for Team Freedom. Just, you know, that's what he had to do. He had to go off the map early so he can come back and get that 6th shot.
Hey, the comeback stories are the best stories, right? And Kronik, honestly, they had a fantastic trial last week, especially on the Emre, and now they're showing it off here once again on the Sojourn. Making a good case for himself so far, Molly.
Yeah, I've really liked seeing how these two hitscan players have been. I think Tree, of course, a bit more of a notable name because he's been around at this top level for longer, but it's the players that are willing to put in the grind, the ones that have started to get newer opportunities or continue to fight for those spots, so it's never something to be discounted, whether you know one of these players more than the other. The more amplification matrix is out first. Kronik, nasty shot up to Vega as he poked his head through the wrong window. Didn't find out who was home that time, but Tree will answer it back pretty quick after his own. The matrix placement from Ultraviolet just a little bit better in terms of the point positioning. Be easy for Team Liberty Sojourn to clean house.
Yeah, just don't mind if I do swoop on in. Now, they'll have some fun with an overclock themselves. Yeah, I love that winner to say, we're just going to throw it right on point. Who cares? It maybe didn't work out that time for Team Freedom, but I do like that kind of aggressive play style. And, you know, the gamble is here. Do you push bridge? Do you give Vega the opportunity for a boop or Tree for a pick?
Yeah, hey, who needs to use ultimates when Tree exists? Like, that's kind of been the theme so far today, and seriously, feeling himself on the Sojourn.
Yeah, no, it's been fantastic so far. Sugarfree just continuing to poke around. One of the few members here trialing after 2023.
Oh!
No.
Well, that's not what you wanted to see. At least the sound barrier got off before Lukemino met a rather watery end, but he'll soon be joined by the rest of the team, so not the end of the world, I guess.
Yeah, not the end of the world, but yeah, speaking of scrubbing moments from the record, I think we got a few from this first map to get put on the list. But hey, like you said, the beat went down. The main mission was accomplished, just a little bit of a caveat afterwards. And already Team Freedom, maybe not wanting to push Tree again on bridge.
Yeah, and I don't blame them for that, or Lukemino and Vega. It's been very polarizing in the Lucio department, but don't really want to tempt fate. Completely understandable. But it's Team Liberty with a significant ult advantage coming into this. Either Ultraviolet to start this off, or even Sugarfree looking for an angle with this Dragon Blade. So Ultraviolet is on the Matrix, more towards the back line, denies Team Freedom from pushing through that white room. Is set up towards a Painkiller. That's the fight that he wants to take. Sugarfree can have an angle. Not going to tempt fate with the double damage. In fact, has to dash away. So perhaps some point percentage or even space. Giving up here. There's the blade finally coming out of its sheath. Boot back. Won't find all that much in the long run. That's just the Dragon Blade in the age of 2026. Not too much different from last year, as the sound barrier from Vega, as close as that was, will land through. And it'll be a victory song here. Team Liberty on Jang Tower is... We got some highlights, we got some lowlights. Lukemino wants to see if he can give one more over to Team Freedom. Still have one sound barrier of his own. They're doing a decent job of kind of stalling this out. Infekted might have broken the rule of the stall point, but it won't really matter too much as Team Liberty eventually will close it out. Sugarfree, of course, with the triple.
Yeah, nice little finishing touch there to end out map 1 for the team. But hey, great start here, and obviously saw a lot of it, especially with the Ramacho. He's been kind of creeping back into the meta just a little bit now that Zarya isn't, you know, a must pick on every single rush map and brawl map that we have. But it's been nice to see a little bit of a change up there from everybody else. I don't know about you, yeah, Kronik for me was a standout. During that map, felt like he was really lighting it up. And yeah, even though some Ajax's, some off the map moments weren't the greatest, but hey, they're just warming up, everybody.
Yeah, the Lucio play was polarizing. You either had like some really sick boops or denies, and then you had the Ajaxes, or Lukemino had Leadfoot there at some point, like got peeled off a wall. So yeah, it happens. I think it was a educating map overall. It is, again, we're kind of running back on these compositions that aren't like fully meta right now, but things that very likely could make an appearance. What we've seen from the USA Overwatch World Cup team in the past is they don't really have like a single comp that they'll specialize in. They like to be kind of a jack of all trades, have flexibility between the players. So using strategies like this is really gonna show and kind of pull at those places where players, it kind of stretches the limits of what their hero pools may be.
Well, it's like, I think you have to at this point, because A, the meta in this game right now is shifting so quickly, and we can have several things going on at once as we take a look at the replays here in just a moment from map 1 of tonight's trials. But also, you gotta think, we have obviously the first America's regional coming up, and then if you make it to Anaheim, it's a few months after. We could be in a totally different patch, totally different meta than what you were during the first stage of qualification. So having a lot of different options, having that flexibility is going to be a massive key for the United States.
Yeah, you want to be able to pull from like these strong individuals, but again, I want to focus back on these team synergies. You mentioned we have the entirety of Team Liquid, the vast majority of Winthrop University's roster at that, and we did get to see that, I think, a little bit at this game. I think Infekted and Zeruhh seem to be on the same page quite a bit, but actually we're heading straight in to map number 2 after our replays. That is a turnaround and a half, but we do have a couple substitutions with Hawk coming in for Infekted, I believe. Most everything else looks to be the same.
Yeah, some changes going on, and here we go. And yeah, Liberty. It's gonna be this D.Va, Echo, Soj, and Lucio, and the Kiriko for both of these teams. That will be the comp for this map. And already, Team Freedom, full high ground control.
Like, having Kronik on this high ground is a scary sight to behold, as we got to see from the last map. That kind of switching it up to these full dives. It pulls at some of the different strengths, and Hawk, of course, very well known for his D.Va in particular. And Painkiller being one of the more, like, I guess, true 5v5 tanks that hasn't really fit into one of those roles, and I just don't know how well it's going to work out on this point. Zeruhh fully chasing him down with the Echo, and it's going to test the limits of how far these D.Vas will be able to approach.
Yeah, it's the Echo, especially into the D.Va. It can be a rough day for the D.Va. Like, just to put it pretty simply, is Sugarfree jumps off. Team Freedom jump in now with 5 minutes going into the second phase. And yeah, this will be an interesting one. Again, a lot of high ground going on, a lot of play for the Echoes and Sojas to kind of go at it, have a little bit of, you know, just perfection kind of throw in there as You can see even Vega just kind of ushering Tree around, trying to get them into one of these good spots. As Hawk, again, watched map 1 from the sidelines. First action for him on the day.
Yeah, and it looks like he's warmed up though and ready to go, especially with how fast that cap actually ended up happening. Of course, a bit of overextension, I think, from Team Liberty, overcommitting in those fights, but it will come at the price of a Sugarfree duplicate kind of coming up. Of course, it's those support ults that we typically see. Being the main star of the Soak, Kitsune rush out from Landon first. Ultraviolet puts a match as they laid us a nice, like, I don't know, what is that, obtuse angle, I guess, across the thing. I haven't taken geometry in a while. Sugarfree, might have not taken it ever. Gets cut off by another overclock from Kronik. D-Mech onto Painkiller. Now be a good push through on this first objective. Team Freedom, they clean off with just the support ults.
Yeah, a very efficient fight, and even though almost some staggers, great cleanse and swift step out there from Ultraviolet to not make this into a complete snowball against Team Liberty.
Duplicate now from Sugarfree, add a third diva to the fray, because why not? She's kind of Thanos right now. 3 is like a great number for those kinds of things, I guess. Self-destruct up. Doesn't actually end up catching anybody, but Hawk denied the remake courtesy of a headshot out of Tree there. Make it even harder for Team Liberty. Actually put their foot down on this point. You'd like to see how well they're pushing on forward. Zeruhh tried to be the player to take that role over the tank on the dupe. Little availing. Limited resources being trumped. Tree, though, smells blood in the water. He's going to go for an aggressive slide in Landon's and Zeruh's body's now rolling around the cliffs of Numbani. Finally, we'll get the defense going for Team Liberty.
Yeah, finally, Team Liberty able to at least put a stop to the bleeding in this moment. A pretty expensive push there for Team Freedom as well. They really have nothing going into this next fight. Because it's not like Team Liberty have a ton of their own. You're going to hold Painkiller, more than likely holding on to this self-destruct defensively, just to try and remake and stay in the engagement rather than sending into the back line due to how mobile this composition is for both teams.
Speed the name of the game, both with the engages. It'll help see from the Lucio, but ObsSojourn having the slide, or don't really need a slide. It's the person who is diving you gets their head ripped off mid-air. And Kronik, Tree, both of them pretty consistent about it. It's made Zeruhh and Sugarfree's job a lot more difficult on a lot of these attempted push, but of course Team Liberty will have to find another way to keep this defense going as they don't have a lot of give on the second objective. It can be hard to go through. Late sound barrier from Vega, but it will hit the ground, and the perfect amount of time. The over health wears off for Team Freedom first. The time to strike is here. Painkiller looking for this echo in the sky. Goes back in. So much trust in Ultraviolet to keep him on his feet. That'll work out in the end. And the wraparound from Team Freedom to flip the map here. Yeah, here's the D-Mech, but nobody will clean up the baby diva. The defense will hold.
Defense hold, but this is still quite a messy fight, Molly. Yeah. Team Freedom just kind of looping around, trying to see if they can find any sort of straggler, and Painkiller just trying to play an egregious amount of anti-dive, but you can't anti-dive that.
No, you cannot. If Kronik just hits all of his shots, well, I don't think there's much you can do about it. Even then, Sugarfree was a duplicate for like, what, half a second? Before Kronik said, you know what, he's had enough fun. Let's go ahead and ruin his day, and Team Liberty will eventually forfeit the control here. And Kronik firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, Kronik really continuing his form from last week. Has really been one of the standouts so far during the trials, and really showing it here once again on Numbani. Is 220 for Team Freedom going into this. Duplicate now used from Zeruhh, just trying to gain some extra positioning.
Yeah, I like this from Team Freedom. They know that Team Liberty don't really have much of the tank. Vega uses sound barrier rather aggressively before. Nothing to keep him alive as he attempted to run for his life. Tree, bit of an overclock, but Kronik says, shutting him down. He actually is just as the numbers of the DPS line. Team Freedom, they're gonna keep this going. They might get a full cap here, Jesse.
They could easily get a full cap here. Even a Hawk, yeah, definitely liking that defense matrix perk. Getting up some extra shield health there. Almost got the half where could have got burned down by the Sugarfree focusing beam. But Team Liberty in a good spot if UV lives.
Yeah, well, he'll be okay. Vega will make sure of it. Sound barrier's there because Lukemino has hit the deck. Well, not much Team Freedom can do to stop the momentum of the boot from Vega. No, Hawk sent reeling off the map along with any chances of getting a remake and finishing the map there. So eventually the brakes will be pumped and Team Freedom will have to go for another shot.
Yeah, we'll get one, maybe two more chances at this with just over a minute to go during their attack. And yeah, they're going to have that sound barrier now to engage, have that advantage due to Vega popping it during the last fight. And even Kronik has a 30% ult advantage on the overclock. So there's a lot of tools here for Team Freedom.
Yeah, especially that tempo beat out of Lukemino just steamrolls over Vega. Hawk knows that he's essentially immortal, has the self-destruct to go ahead and pull out. Look for the Gooba Stomp. Would have been cool. Won't really need it. It's Kronik who was the star of the show on this attack. So Team Freedom, look at that full completion without 38 seconds. And I really got to say, they looked in control for the vast majority of this map.
Yeah, no, it was Team Freedom really controlling how these fights were going on. Some great team planning there from Team Freedom. We look at a little bit of a scoreboard check. Kronik and Zeruhh lead the way, 12 eliminations each, and Hawk very close behind with 11 of their own. Lukemino, 1 death, something you don't really see a lot recently, especially on Lucio. They can usually be one of the first to get called out during these engages, so only having that 1 death, major benefit there for Team Freedom. And on the other side, Liberty, pretty even-sided affair.
Yeah, the stat line, I think, makes it look like it was a little bit closer than it was. It just seemed like the proactive nature of Team Freedom's playstyle. Kronik, of course, having a ball when it came to this Sojourn and doing an excellent job shutting down these dives. Painkiller and Sugarfree were looking to synergize. So now that these sides are kind of swapped, I want to see if Team Liberty can manage to find like a more cohesive push, or rather, it's kind of these small baby steps to high ground instead.
Yeah, would love to see maybe some set plays here from Team Liberty. But again, that's kind of the trick here with Trials, that you don't have like, oh, we're going to do play A on position B or something like that. When you have these teams that you play with every single day, they're going to feel a little bit like pugs during Trials. So you have to kind of feel it out. But Sugarfree taken out of the air by Landon and Hawk. And Landon just going nuts.
Yeah, Landon, I think, playing on perhaps slightly more normal ping for him in a competitive setting like this is paying off. He'll come up with a triple in just that first part, and the faster he gets to this Kitsune rush, the better.
Yeah, that's the one variable that it only really impacts Landon, is that, yeah, he is playing from EMEA for these trials, so his ping is not going to be the best compared to everybody else. So the fact that he's still able to pop off with a 3K like that, definitely a good sign for the United States. But again, it's a heated debate because you got him versus Ultraviolet more than likely on flex support.
Yeah, but then we still talk about, can we get these kind of cohesive sort of pushes together, right? And I think this is now where we got there, and it was really just because Kronik was down first and Sugarfree could actually play the game. And you can see how much of a difference that is. Kronik, it kind of needs to be priority number 1 for Team Liberty when they go on these pushes. Painkiller did a great job of buying that space. I'll get them the first point.
Yeah, first point goes the way now of Team Liberty. Granted, not as much of a time bank as Team Freedom did, but it's not by much. It's only about 30 seconds or so, the difference. And I will say Team Liberty taking a way more aggressive position early, already pushing near the end of second phase, trying to see if they can find a mistake from Team Freedom to really catapult this point forward. But Hawk not letting that happen, slowly making space for the rest of their team. But Ultraviolet has the Kitsune rush, and so does Landon.
See how these are played, but Hawk immediately sent out of mech before the support ultimates can make the way over to him, rather the healing that came with it. The massive advantage now over to Team Liberty, but it doesn't really matter. Zeruhh gives the diff onto Sugarfree in the sky. Get one Echo, one of those heroes that he's also been shining on when it's come to this play. But there's Trey, he's back up, he's ready to go. Vega, not so much. He is squished into a Pancake. Quite the opposite of his Sojourn teammate there, but it's okay. Tree did a lot more than that fight necessarily required of him.
Oh, that's all I will say. As a diva, great feeling. As the Lucio, that is the worst. That is the worst feeling imaginable. Getting remacked, but regardless of the remack, Team Liberty gained so much real estate from that fight, and now just one fight away.
The sound barrier here from Lukemino completely negates Tree as he was looking again to be this pop-off player. Hawk denied the remake. I mean, it's so much burst going over to Team Freedom's tank, and you can see the struggle with how that gameplay has been. The Kitsune rush from Sugarfree has actually made Ultraviolet pop off out of all players. But, you know, 2 Kirikos, she's a good hero. You can only use more of her. That's what we've learned from this particular fight.
Yeah, I know. Jake and Johnny brought this up last week. It was like, oh, we're gonna, you know, have these teams play all these different comps, and then in the end, they're just gonna keep playing Lucio Kiri anyway. Just because it's just been such a phenomenal support line, and it's good to see both Kirikos already lighting it up.
Yeah, and Team Liberty, or at least rather Ultraviolet, a bit of a lead on the next Kitsune rush, which Team Liberty, I have a very strong feeling, you're gonna want to send it as soon as he gets that check mark up and ready to be pressed. Rather a slow burn, making sure you have control of this high ground. You're not going to have anyone, especially Kronik, drop down from a weird flank. Painkiller, a little bit of an overstep there, forces the Suzu from Ultraviolet. They'll have it up a bit faster now. Kitsune rush, pushed forward, but everybody from Team Freedom was able to speed out with the help of Lukemino, leaving plenty of space for Landon to time his engage. Great calls all around. The retreats working out perfectly, so there's actually 0 casualties from this fight.
Yeah, nobody dies, and good counter Kitsune from Landon just to kind of ease up on the push of Team Liberty, force them to reset, and now give Zeruhh a great flank.
Oh, the drop down, the Suzu had to come out. Every single sticky bomb ended up on Landon's back there. Team Liberty, sound barrier at their backs. They couldn't really make a lot of it. It was more of a retreat than anything. That is the worst case scenario when you go for that aggressive kind of play, because now Team Freedom, Lukemino, gets so close to a sound barrier of his own. You have to win this in the neutral. But Kronik not allowing that to happen whatsoever. This third point in Numbani, a real struggle if you can't have all these pieces working together.
Yeah, oh, of course Hawk wants the kill credit there.
Bye-bye.
Just a little bit of a side swipe onto the tank on the other side. But like you said, if you can't get, especially a lot of these, you know, all combinations or even just ability combos ready to go, it's going to be really hard to push through this choke point. There's a reason why this map at times during this point can be really difficult to get through. And when you don't have the ability to counter swap, you don't have an ability to kind of maybe flex to some different options, you kind of just going at it time and time again, hoping something sticks.
Well, will be a dupe onto the Kiriko from Sugarfree. And then we're starting to see a lot more commonly Lukemino sorted from downtown, and that's all the confidence Kronik needs to hit his shots, but he can do it anyways. We've seen this guy pop off time and time again. 3 to his name, and yet another fantastic overclock.
Yeah, he's been pretty flawless with those so far, and now just under 2 minutes for Team Liberty. Obviously, a pretty expensive fight there, but they will have just a small advantage with the Kitsune rush. But the worry is, does the same thing that happened just a minute ago with the counter Kitsune from Landon happen once again, considering Landon is only 10% behind.
Yeah, it's not that large of a margin, and if anything, we saw how Team Freedom had that call to retreat. Lukemino speed amped everybody out of danger for that amount of time, but the fight lasted, at least the poke phase lasted long enough for Landon to equal the Kitsune rush. The Ultraviolet is hoping to get Team Liberty engaged with. After all, we'll have the better as Kronik gets steamrolled. Painkiller going on a mini Terry here as he gets through these dive targets. Self-destruct number 1 out from Hawk. Everybody gets out safe and sound except for the duplicate next of Zeruhh. Team Liberty, they're okay to cut their losses there and hunt down this Echo who's been such a pest in the skies. Around this final corner, and end up with a couple more seconds on the time bank. Team Freedom, they're looking to get any other emphasis that they can. Of course, we'll end it right here. We won't go to overtime rounds because of the way the scrim codes are, but I guess a 7-second lead, that counts as a technical win for Team Freedom, I think. I hope.
Yeah.
I'm guessing.
Yeah, Team Freedom. Great, these teams are changing the entire night, so it's like, yeah, oh, we're going to be playing it out.
Oh, we're playing it out.
A little bit of a change. All right, so we're going to go right back over to Numbani. Really,
Okay,
we'll
then.
see how this goes. Maybe consider, hey, pretty similar time frame. Maybe, yeah, you get a few extra seconds of stall for Team Liberty. That's really about all the extra you're getting. But I will say Painkiller, some great kills during that final fight. Up in front, and as soon as you can tell that backline flank was coming in from Team Freedom, was right there with the punish, and I believe it was Landon that he took out early on. So Great little play there from Painkiller to end a push that at times looked a little bit rough from Team Liberty, but in the end was actually better than their opposition.
Yeah, I think that Team Liberty, again, on the back foot for most of that, really found a bit of a rhythm on that third point. As you said, it's very difficult with the choke that is there. But now kind of playing these out, it shows what these players will do, more so on a neutral push with very little time to get set up.
Yeah, you don't have a whole lot of time to play with. You can't go on these, 45-second setups and then hoping, you can finish it off in 10-15 seconds to avoid just an all-out deathmatch on points. But already, beams go out and Hawk, barely alive, has to go grab the Mega Pack.
Oh, Landon! It's okay, he's Kiriko. He's got parkour for days. Everything is fine. There was no need to panic there. I mean, there might be a slight need to panic. I feel like there's either a Painkiller or a Sugarfree lurking. Oh, that doesn't feel very safe. The boop, though! That's a problem. Vega sends Hawk reeling just as his flight expires. It'll be Team Liberty striking first on this defense. And, well, you only had a minute, so you strike first, and that is about it. So there won't be any toes on the objective for the Team Freedom attack. By the looks of it, it is the first, I think, really positive look that Sugarfree was able to output on the Echo without the pressure from Hawk's Diva.
Yeah, no, that was great from Sugarfree. One of these few plays that he's kind of had open reign has had constant pressure in checks from the opposing Diva and Sojourn. It was a great little look to have there, and sadly Vega, the boop sets it all up, sends the astronaut of Hawk into orbit, and that is just a beautiful way to set up that fight. No sort of peel, no sort of defense matrix to save the rest of the squishies, and Team Liberty now set themselves up to win it, potentially here in overtime.
Yeah, it's a, 7-second advantage? It's really not a lot. You're still going to have the same neutral flight, likely no shiny buttons, the pullout. But Team Liberty, they're going to take the same approach that they saw Team Freedom do outside on the cliff, and I think that's okay. You have a very high mobility comp like this. You want access to the verticality as best as possible. Painkiller, I'm really putting the pressure on the Zeruhh and Kronik early. That's what you need to do. Find a way to play around these high grounds, because if you leave them around, well, that's what's going to happen. Kronik takes out Ultraviolet and barely manages to keep himself afloat. That's best case scenario now for Team Freedom. Painkiller going for a fast reset, hope to squeeze another engage out of this.
It was basically the same time that Liberty took on their first push and then got denied, but maybe that extra 7 seconds, Molly, may actually be a very big factor during this. It will at least give Liberty enough time to have a casual reset and then figure out how they want to push in this, considering no ultimates are going to be on the board quite yet.
Actually, the most impactful 7 seconds ever. I mean, I'd love to be proven wrong, but Team Liberty given a second chance here due to their small advantage. What can they actually make of it? Kronik still sitting on this high ground, uncontested. Vega looked in his direction for a bit, but you don't really need to. With the Painkiller being demaxed and Sugarfree having to take an aggressive pull just to keep the point contested, that should be all Team Freedom need to shut this one down. So it ends in a technical draw for our second map of our USA World Cup trials.
Just how we all wanted it to end, right, guys? Like,
it's
a draw. USA wins.
Woo! Everyone wins. It's great.
Yeah, I bet the players are just like, man, a draw. But it's all right. Yeah, some great performances there. I would say Sugarfree, when, like you said, when he wasn't getting checked every single time he peeked his head around a corner, actually had some great plays there on the Echo. Kind of stunted the value of Hawk there from time to time. As soon as Hawk would go up and then went back down, Sugarfree started to really play around that. And that was a great little adaptation there from the Flex DPSs. Yeah, already third of a way through the trials already. Who's standing out to you the most so far, Molly? If you had to pick just one player, I know it's hard. It's egregiously talented people just everywhere.
I don't want to pick a favorite. I can't pick a favorite. I don't know.
You have to pick a favorite.
Okay, well, yeah, I won't pick a favorite. But in terms of performances, I think Kronik has really continued to stand out. I think this is the one guy that's coming into this with the least amount of time, like total time in this sort of tier 1 spotlight. So for him to show up and have these level of performances to really cement himself in that spot, I think is huge. And one, getting him a shot at being on this final roster, and two, showing that there is still a continuing talent development in this space.
Yeah, it's not just Team Liquid, right? Like, you know, yeah, Team Liquid are actually helping out with this committee, so like, hey, it's great having some of our players here. But no, Kronik's been definitely a standout for me as well. He has just been lighting it up, and hasn't really had too much of an opposition so far. I will say Painkiller has looked better today than he did, at least than he did day one. It feels like he's a little bit more confident, has maybe got some more reps with some of these other trialists, and is getting more comfortable. And it just makes that tank debate between these four wonderful individuals just that more complicated, because it's just like, man, I don't know what. I'm glad I'm not on the committee, because I really I don't know what I would do.
They said you'd really have to pick favorites, and then we'd be in an uncomfy situation. But we're going to make the committee do that right now, because we're going to send to a quick break before we head into map number 3, get our rosters and compositions confirmed, and we'll be back in just a little bit with a continuation of the USA World Cup trials. Stay tuned.
Yeah, feed for me ever since we got into like second phase.
Appearance.
Yeah, Infekted is the only one that we have yet to see tonight.
We saw Infekted.
I'm thinking. Oh my god.
Wrong tank. Wrong team Liquid.
Wrong, you know, TL and Winthrop tank. You know, sometimes they get mixed up a little bit in the old noggin. But no, it'll be. We're gonna see. Hey, we haven't seen any Zarya Vendetta comps. Well, I bet you guys are maybe sick of it. But it is still meta to a degree, so we are gonna have Zarya, Vendetta, Emre, and then Lucio Kiri will stay. So something that obviously has been still in the meta, maybe fading out, but it's a composition that still definitely needs to get practiced. and it will probably get played during the Americas qualifier in just a few months. So a great way to show off maybe some chemistry between the tank and one of the DPS, trying to get some of those set plays going.
Yeah, and I don't think we're allowed to talk about like the Zarya Vendetta comp without bringing up Zeruhh specifically. And last week when we had the trials, I mean, by far the best Vendetta that we saw, had absolute carry potential and, well, showed carry rather on the entire map that he was on that hero for, and having the extra support of the Zarya behind him, I can only imagine how scary that will end up looking. So once we figure out what map we're going to here, we'll see what ends up happening with that specific guard. It will be Esperanza. Thank you so much, production, for confirming that for us. So decently high ground focused on that regard, and Vendetta will be the best player to access a lot of those high ground spaces.
And it also give Emre a lot of perfect range, especially when we're in the middle of the map. Some great sight lines for the Emre to pop off with. And let's see here. Yeah, it'll be Coluge versus Hawk for this one in the tank lineup. And then, again, a lot of things staying the same. I think I see a support swap as well. Lukemino and Vega swapping sides. And I think even Zeruhh and Tree are now together. So it's basically Team Liquid for Team Liberty, with the exception of Lukemino Ultraviolet.
All right, we got like the over half of Team Liquid on Team Liberty there. So yeah, we'll see again how much that existing synergy can come into play for a lot of it. We mentioned that that's something that we have a feeling will be looked out for, but a slice to the back of Zeruhh will mean his end. Sugarfree barely manages to skate on out with his own life now. As Hawk, we're low on charge on the back half of that corner, so Team Liberty will end up running away for the time being. Team Freedom get the push started.
Yeah, so Team Freedom win the first one. That was an interesting Vendetta thing there. Just like, oh, kind of everybody gets knocked out, and you don't see that totally often, but it is technically possible. And no, this is the high ground that Kronik is really going to live for. It's going to be pretty hard for anybody to get up there to challenge.
Well, with the Emre kind of coming out too, is we've again another one of those new heroes that we haven't seen like a ton of this crazy Emre play yet, just because it's still relatively new. And Tree, Kronik, kind of two that we've seen more, just because they've had the time on the collegiate side of things to get things going. But of course, big star of the show or this comp is typically the Vendetta, but Sugarfree almost puts himself in the barrel to be the fish in that situation. The boot from Lukemino kind of keeps him there for Tree to shoot him down, and Team Liberty will get all the push back just from that.
Yeah, sometimes the fish in the barrel fights back. That time, not so much from Sugarfree. Indeed, the fish in the barrel. Team Liberty bringing this back around. Neither Vendetta really has had a whole lot to do. We hype up like, hey, it's going to be the Zarya Vendetta, a lot of comps, and a lot of set plays with them. But it really just hasn't been so far.
Sune Rush and the sound barrier out from Team Liberty. Whilst Vega didn't have his, he was just 2% short when that fight started. And it's that 2%. It really comes to make all the difference there. Team Liberty had the bit of tempo. Whether they knew it or not, they were confident in that full push behind Coluge.
Yeah, sometimes you just got to put all the eggs in the basket, and that's exactly what Team Liberty did. But the upside is, like, yes, you had beat advantage and you capitalized on it. Now Team Freedom has the same opportunity.
Will, of course, be that override protocol from Kronik first, as Coluge looks to lock down the rest of Team Freedom so they can't take advantage of it. And that is where the sound barrier kind of comes into play. As soon as that grab ends, Vega made sure everyone survived. They just mowed down Coluge like it was nothing. And I gotta say, a very smart play at the end of it, even though Team Freedom ended up getting that bit of space. They'll deny the forward spawns.
And that's the big thing right there. Deny the forward spawns for Team Liberty. Everybody will spawn at the end of the Team Liberty side. And that just gives Team Freedom a little more breathing room to get set up. When they have the grab, maybe even pairing it up here with the ultimate from Sugarfree.
Sugarfree. Getting a little spicy there with the Vendetta, but he'll be fine. In fact, I think just got pulled out of the sky was Tree. He's just kind of chilling. Didn't even bat an eye at that one. Just dropped back down. Fortunately, without a tank, it will mean Team Freedom get those forward spawns, and there was little that the override protocol could have done to kind of stop that push from happening.
Yeah, you can shoot as much as you want, but sometimes the damage just isn't going to be there. Zeruh goes in, gets the bubble, and Team Freedom just respect to the space. They got exactly what they wanted from that fight, forward spawns, and the lead. So no reason to play against it. Just play in a space like this where Kronik has all the space in the world to try and pop off.
Yeah, and this is kind of like the devastating corner of these spawns, and most of the fights are centered around it. So it's all the more important that Kronik gets to stay in this position as long as it can. The only one who can test him is Zeruh. We saw him just absolutely send it at Vega, play a little slice and dice in real time with a Sundering Strike, looking for any targets, but everyone walked around the corner, not risking getting split in two there. Team Liberty, they'll cancel the forward spawns off the back of this. I'm curious to see whether we see Ultraviolet's Kitsune Rush come out in a quicker manner, knowing that they have the advantage, but Team Freedom all regrouped on the bridge already.
Yeah, I think everybody's trying to get healed back up for Team Freedom. Got some half health members, and then going in, there it is.
Yeah, Kronik, a couple of shots from above the override protocol, but a great way to cancel that out is Sugarfree. Go ahead and slice everybody down, and Vendetta really starting to show up. Last week it was Zeruh. Today, I gotta say, Sugarfree giving us a great peek.
Yeah, Sugarfree maybe just got the momentum swinging back in their direction for the Vendetta duel as Team Freedom make their way back over and forward spawns are re-achieved. Vega still has the sound barrier advantage. Now it's only 10% though compared to where it was against Lukemino. So I don't think there's going to be a massive advantage here. It is more the timing of these sound barriers could play a key factor.
You have to be pretty quick. I mean, it's kind of what we've seen before, is what exactly do you want to counter? Is it going to be a tempo push? And kind of based on where the ultimates are at, you're either going to wait for a Graviton Surge, or you can take these fast plays. And Lukemino has seemed to favor that on whatever team he's been on so far tonight, and won't really even need it. Zeruh overstays his welcome in the backline. It was a classic turn and burn from Team Freedom to deny him that space, and Sugarfree, I was gonna say almost a free shooting ground, but no. Tree said he's not allowed to have that much fun.
Yeah, Tree's like, hey, knock it off. You know, like, let's not have this happen.
Pipe down.
Yeah, just pipe down a little bit. And Team Freedom continue to extend the lead and hype up all about the sound barriers and nothing. Like you said, they actually hold on to them. More just trying to play it to counter one of these incoming ultimates rather than trying to play tempo. Even though Hawk, very low, just gets there around the corner in time.
He'll be okay, but Coluge wants to change that. That is 3 players locked up in a Graviton Surge, but still over health, keeps them nice and comfy until they're ready to return with one of their own, and suddenly the tempo beat will come back to bite them just a tad. Tree back up in the sky with an override protocol, chunking shots onto the bubble. Hawk's happy to have the charge. He actually gets both of the heavy rounds absorbed by bubbles. Fantastic timing. It keeps him alive. Makes sure the Graviton goes out and gets the double secured for Team Freedom.
Yeah, and it just feels like every time Team Liberty gets this bot back over to the middle, Team Freedom takes advantage of the high ground, draws the fight out, and eventually is able to pull on through. Just over 2.5 minutes left here on Esperanza. And honestly, it's been all Team Freedom so far. They've been doing a great job of controlling the pace. Yeah, Zeruh tries to get set up for some of these fights, but is either just nobody shoots at the Vendetta, they run away, or they get punished instantly. Ooh. And now Kronik with the override forces out the Suzu.
Great bubble from Coluge. Actually ends up keeping Landon alive, who's just chilling behind him. Zeruh wants to change some stuff around, though. There goes a Kronik onto the chopping block. Team Freedom, they are all funneling themselves into this small room where Zeruh doesn't really got to move his crosshair that much. He just holds left click, does what he wants to do the best. And will stop the push the Team Freedom had going. Not a lot of time, though, left to make this happen.
No, some consecutive fight wins are going to be needed here from Team Liberty. Maybe set it up in this first fight with the Kitsune Rush, then you have a Grav beat and even an override protocol to go into next, or the following. So there's at least resources available to get this snowball going, and you're going to need some resilience if you're going to play for the United States. This is the time to show it.
Team Freedom really only have this Sundering Strike from Sugarfree to work with, and it's not it's not terrible ultimate. You're just unlikely to get too much value out of it other than some space, so it has to be in this neutral fight. It'll be Zeruh teaming up with Vega, or excuse me, with Lukemino to take out Vega on the other Lucio, which denies that sound barrier for this exact moment. And that's exactly what Team Liberty need to see, is some sort of tangible advantage, with Lukemino falling shortly after. The Graviton Surge from Coluge has to come out instead. It's not the turnaround they wanted to make, but it's one Zeruhh is happy to do. It's so easy to hit your sword swings when they can't move away from them. It's a triple for him. And Team Liberty, look at the forward spawns again.
Team Liberty maybe starting that comeback that we talked about. Did use the Graviton Surge and the Kitsune Rush during that fight, but they still hold on to 2 and will have Zeruh's very shortly. So the comeback is on for Team Liberty to take, well, Team Liberty to take a 2-0 lead, but there's the aggro beat.
Lukemino, though, not far behind on one of his own. It's helpful for Tree. Has to make sure he lives and take too much poke from Kronik, who's been silenced pretty well on this map so far. I think the Emery play is one that Tree has enjoyed a little bit more as of late. But as we're approaching that last fight, things need to go the way of Team Liberty. Zeruhh going to start this off right for the team, but everyone bunkers down into the small tunnel. They'll be able to help clean them up, but you're going to need more assistance in the front line to make it happen. Hawk, Graviton Surge, solo on the Coluge, and a perfectly timed Suzu out of Ultraviolet gives the immortality frames needed to keep the tank up, but not the Kiriko himself. Team Liberty's health bars barely hanging on, Jesse.
They need Ultraviolet to come back in this fight ASAP, but they've at least given themselves a decent shot. Hawk is still stuck behind. Never died during that, and now has an awkward situation on their hands.
Yeah, Zeruhh just turns him into mincemeat. That is the exact thing that was needed from Team Liberty. Without Ultraviolet, it was looking rough. It has to be Vega to send it out this objective, to stall it a bit longer, but you don't have the numbers to back you up. The stagger on the Hawk is enough to turn this one around, and Team Freedom will fall short after a very strong lead of Esperanza.
Yeah, Team Liberty, just when you felt like, maybe they're on their way out, just a minute 30 to have the comeback and to build up that 70 or so meters. And they find it. They find the kills they need, and they find that extra gear that was necessary, and Team Liberty win it on Esperanza. A good little comeback there, honestly, considering, I would say the first 70% of that map, it felt like it was all freedom. And at that point, just something swapped. Finally, maybe the communication structure changed. Maybe trying to just try something different in how they're approaching some of these fights for Team Liberty. But whatever it was, worked out, and they steal away the map.
And I honestly think it had a lot to do with how Zeruhh was playing. Like, I think before, at the start of this map, he was very like, all right, give me all the bubbles, cracks his knuckles, let me at him. But okay, now the whole team's turning around and looking at me. I died anyways, even if I got 2 bubbles. So in those kind of engagements, I think we started to see more of those softer hits. That play call came in from somebody else on there, Coluge himself. I think it became a bit more balanced, and Zeruhh finally got the positioning that he wanted to get started up here. So a good turnaround overall, and I like how close that these maps are remaining. It goes to show you how, again, even this talent truly is, and how competitive these few slots on the USA Overwatch World Cup team are.
Yeah, it's going to be, if this match is showed, right? Like, it's an incredibly tough decision at every single position here for the United States. And honestly, every single player so far tonight has had a great moment. So it makes it really tough. And even like the first half of this map, yeah, I felt like Sugarfree was getting the bit better of the Vendetta. And then you see the last 2 minutes, Zeruhh really starts to turn it on. We see the Zeruhh that we saw last week during day 1 of trials. So yeah, it's always going to be kind of this interesting dilemma of, yes, you can't just take one play into consideration. Not just one play is going to earn you a spot on the United States roster, but it is going to be a lot of things here, and you want to give as many reasons to believe in you as possible to the committee, and I think everybody is succeeding on that so far.
Hey, Team Liquid Core for the win. That's what we just learned there. I mean, that was a crazy comeback. Everybody but the supports on that one. So, an interesting turnaround. I love that we're going into what seems to be a completely different look of compositions for the 4th time, as hearing Havana being that next map pick. Very poke heavy. I wonder if we're gonna get like some Sigma, maybe Domina, but probably like Sigma, and then emphasis back onto Kronik and Tree for this game, which again, Kronik was a bit quieter on that Emery map opposed to the ones with Sojourn. So as we head in, I want to see where that's kind of shifted between these two hitscan players.
And it looks like here, from our notes, again, shout out Prod, they have been giving a little bit of freedom on what they can do here. Diva and Lucio are banned, and Soj is a mandatory. So that's why you see Tree and Kronik, they will stick onto the Soj regardless. Everything else is all open to interpretation for the first time tonight. So that's what we're going to see. Zeruhh on the Tracer compared to Sugarfree on the Genji. And I believe the tanks have swapped teams. Other than that, relatively similar rosters here after map 3.
So no more Team Liquid Core going on. Just the DPS line, which is still pretty sick. I mean, Zeruhh finally gets a time to shine on his signature trait. Okay, well, it was short, but he had like a 3-second spotlight. Sorry, you're dead. It's the Kronik show again.
It's the caster curse.
It is. It really is, honestly.
Yeah, now this gives Team Freedom just a lot of breathing room. Not having to worry about a Tracer on your left, on your right, on your 6. It's a lot easier of a push.
Yeah, this is more of kind of that traditional, how can we set up these angles while keeping the poke? I think with the Wuyong Kiriko kind of stuff that is going on. Interestingly enough, it is actually Lukemino on the Kiriko and Ultraviolet on the Wuyong, which I don't think is the typical turn we see with that, but I think Ultraviolet perfectly happy with how that's going for him. Comes up with 2 in the back as the dives were attempted, and Team Liberty's support line kind of coming up in the kill feed for the better part of this first match.
Yeah, nice little pivot that there is. Ultraviolet and Lukemino, interesting to see the switch up. But they have played with each other for a little bit here and there, so it makes sense that, you know, maybe just flexing around. Ultraviolet has gone over and played more of the main support roles that at least were almost like a pseudo flex support, as I don't know, Wuyong's in a weird spot. He feels like a flex support and he deals damage like a flex support, but it's still a main support. And during that, Tree, pop it off, already a 2K in the fight.
And he already has an overclock, by the way, compared to Kronik not even being at 60%. We won't see it now, though. Will be the Tidal Blast popped onto Coluge to make sure he'll stay alive, and that is a storm Tree cannot weather. Gravitic Flux on out, Ultraviolet flattened to the ground as Coluge just trying to fight for his life. He's not going to get a chance. Zeruhh blows him through a bajillion pieces. And there was a scrappy engagement, but one Team Freedom able to still push the card off of.
Yeah, cart's still moving here for Team Freedom, and it doesn't feel like there's going to be too much of a resistance. Zeruhh getting ready for a touch and hoping that one of the 4 ultimates from their teammates can salvage the fight.
Well, there'll actually be 2 for Team Freedom that come out. Both the supports. Ultraviolet again. This guy's Wuyong is kind of built different from what I'm seeing. I love that we have this extra bit of flexibility from the support player in this regard to kind of match where Lukemino's strengths are too.
That's going to be a giant asset. I wonder if that's why they did it. It's like, hey, if we need to run something like this, we can swap around roles. So it's honestly a pretty good pivot for Lukemino and Ultraviolet to kind of show off their stuff. There's nothing wrong with Landon and Vega picking, you know, what they did, but it is maybe just a little bit of an added bonus, just like that would have been an added bonus to find the kill on Kronik, but he lives for now.
Junior rush out for Landon as he's barely staying alive as more to stop Team Liberty from pushing up with Tree's overclock, which did most of it, but it is shut down. Boulder to Hawk's face. He'll live through that. Sugarfree won't. Taken out of the Dragon Blade. Spine snapped in 2. And Team Freedom, as soon as it felt like they had something cooking, it was Hawk so quick to shut it down.
Yeah, Hawk, that's a good rebound. Like, hey, you get rocked out of your ult, which definitely can be demoralizing as Zeruhh finishes off the fight with a nice little 2K. And then you get the accretion. Nobody can touch from Team Freedom. And it looked like for a little bit there, Team Freedom would easily go into second phase. But Team Liberty hold on.
Yeah, he's going to end up staying in on this specific map. You do see the lobby going back to reset. It's just to make sure that all of the perks are activated correctly. I understand there was a bit of an issue with that. But again, we're still be playing the map all the way through as the push kind of gets started out here. So I do like how the teams decided to use their freedom. But the only actual compositional difference ended up being Sugarfree on the Genji and Zeruhh on that Tracer.
Yeah, and it felt like overall pretty decent on both. Zeruh's never going to say no to playing Tracer. Like that's just who he is. It's one of his best heroes. It's one of the heroes that honestly led nightmare to the run that they did back last season before that core kind of split up and Zeruhh joined TL. But it is going to be something to have in your back pocket. Tracer, regardless of the meta, is it always going to be a giant spotlight and a good option for these teams to rotate to. There is one change being teased, and that's going to be Lukemino on the attack, actually going Alari rather than the Kiriko.
So less like overall burst survivability and a chance for Lukemino to show us how good his aim is, which, oh, we believe it. I think he's one of the few, like, quote-unquote main support players, just because he plays Lucio most of the time, that has, like, this deeper hero pool to pull from. And I'm happy to see him showcase that here on this very poke-centric map of Havana so far.
Yeah, again, you might as well show every single angle of your game possible to the committee to show that you can perform. But also, it's a risk, because if you play poorly, then it can look a little bit awkward. But Tree hasn't been playing poorly all day. Already finds Sugarfree.
Yeah, I don't think there's been, like, really any downside to how Tree has been
No.
all day long. Like, I think it's one of the few players we can say that about at this deep within our trials for the last couple of maps. And hey, you're happy to take that for Team Liberty. Already getting a good start around that challenging corner of Havana. Now it's more so, how can you dislodge these tracers? You see Sugarfree kind of poking in and out, looking to harass Tree a tad bit, but not taking any chances when it comes to that full charge rail shot.
Yeah, don't want to tempt fate just a little bit, as Team Liberty already continuing rush forced.
Comes out. What we can actually make of it? It'll be a Kronik. Happy to use the extended fire rate to burn through Tree, but a fantastic orb from Ultraviolet answers it right back. It's gonna get scrappy. Now it's up to Lukemino. What can he do? Gets a haircut courtesy of a boulder out of Coluge. But overall, the Captain Stun doesn't get that much value out of Landon. Gravitic Flux is up there from both of our Sigma players. Coluge just looking to survive through his. A great time on that title blast from Vega, keeping on his feet, and that is the reason we will see this fight persist longer. It is Coluge, and better be given a cookie to Landon and Vega after that.
Yeah, no, that was a fantastic title blast. Just like, I know you're not going to run in with this like a Tracer normally would with that combination. It is just so the tank can live. And it works beautifully for Team Freedom. And now, again, 145. We could be in a very similar spot as we were during the first half of this map, where this cart may not even see the sunrise on the third phase.
Yeah, it's going to be really difficult to get through this first point. I think we kind of see that with Havana a lot. And I think if it does go through, like maybe once Pulse Bomb from Sugarfree can easily shut it down, and even just Tree in general. I think we've seen these overclocks. It's only been the times where the sound barriers there that's been silenced entirety. Or you could just get Sugarfree in the neutral, take away the option of the Pulse Bomb in the first place, throw the second title blast onto Zeruhh, and he's happy to farm away with the help of Ultraviolet. Very minimal commitment needed from Team Liberty as they'll get past the gates of first point.
And they will quote-unquote win map 4 here, but obviously we will continue the map all the way through. But yeah, not a super commitment there from Team Freedom, so they have a lot of resources to go at it. They'll hold this second phase, but already you can see Team Freedom, they don't really care. They don't really respect what's going on, and they will push super far up, but Ultraviolet falls down, forces a little bit of a reacher from the whole team.
Ooh. There's the overclock from Kronik. You can see how quick Team Liberty are to respect that ultra. Like, we are not about to see our heads roll. If you die, well, that one is on you. But thankfully, everyone lives except Zeruhh. He will instead peek too long on the other side. And all right, the DPS line of Team Freedom were in fact not respected in their entirety.
Yeah, it's like, oh, this is just actually getting worse and worse for Team Liberty during that fight. It's a nice little stabilization from Team Freedom right there. And obviously, yeah, this is going to be interesting. But Sugarfree still on Space Station. Kronik has been rolling around a few different teams, but it's going to be exciting to see how both of them do. But already, Pulse Bomb in hand from Zeruhh. Maybe going to wait to try and find Coluge.
Tunnel blast again from Vega. Doesn't look like it got any knockdowns, but at first, so many panic buttons out of Team Liberty. The Team Freedom don't have too much difficulty pushing onto this objective. Of course, losing out on a couple players with Zeruhh a couple trades in that department, but even then, we should see this defense continue for Team Freedom.
Yeah, the defense will hold. Landon finds just a nice little cherry on top for that fight. Team Freedom still have that ultimate advantage. It's been really good ult rotations from them. Coluge still has the Gravitic Flux. Kitsune Rush to be used up top is still there. And already Zeruhh, no longer an issue during this fight. That'll just stall this out even longer for this next push to go in. Granted, Zeruhh has basically a get out of jail free card as long as Ultraviolet uses the Tidal Blast on their Tracer.
Yeah, we saw how much value that got out of it last time, and it's easy for Zeruhh to just go in and get that knockdown if Ultraviolet has the timing correct. We're gonna look for the play now, and it is Kronik. Didn't even need the knockdown. Zeruh's mechanics are just that good, but there's also not much you can do against a 300 plus HP Tracer. And Coluge falling shortly after. Team Liberty, they got full control of this high ground now as they're rounding this final area. Sugarfree doing his best to stall time, but it won't be that worth it to pop the pulse bomb in the end.
No, you definitely don't pop the pulse bomb there, but it does give Team Freedom a lot of time to at least get back into this frame. It's not like Sugarfree is going to take them a while to get here. So ultimate advantage in their favor. Kitsune Rush maybe just on top here to give them some space, give them some breathing room to set up the rest of the fight.
Kitsune Rush for Landon. It plays on the blue carpet this time for Team Freedom. Gravitic Flux from Coluge. Won't end up getting too much value either, so it's two of those main engage resources out from the defense as we approach the final 15 seconds. Team Liberty living as much as they have here. Will come back to help them in the long run. Now they just gotta figure out what can they do in the neutral. Ultraviolet snipes Kronik from the backside of the map, but Hawk falling. How do you stay on the cart? Well, Sugarfree almost did it. Pulse bomb stuck on by Zeruhh. Recalls out of it. Now it's his time to shine. One clip plus the Tidal Blast eliminates Tree, no problem. And Sugarfree single-handedly look to stop this defense, and it's going to have to be him because the rest of his team kind of crumbled around the back. Coluge is back in this fight. That was incredibly short-lived as itself. Kronik clearly debating whether he wants to use the overclock. Makes eye contact with Hawk's Doom, senses he is the prey in this situation, and will forfeit.
Yeah, at that point it's like, well, it's just me here. This is just not worth it at all. Hold on to it to try and win this third phase. As Hawk will now go back over to the Sigma off the Doomfist from the stall. You don't honestly miss too much going on there. Team Liberty still has the Tidal Blast set up for Zeruhh. We've been seeing how crazy these knockdown plays with the Tidal Blast on Tracer have been from both Sugarfree and Zeruhh.
Kronik, though, he wants to go hit some shots. Unfortunately, the targets seem to evade him. Boom! 360 back on the Zeruhh. His head's rolling now over by the canisters there. What a flick. Turned that what could have been an absolute waste of an ult.
Yeah, that was a beautiful flick, and that just stops everything for Team Liberty. But you can see Hawk taking a little bit of benefit from that levitation major perk, getting some extra little high ground that isn't typically held by anybody, but that forces Team Freedom just to slowly walk at this. Nobody really wanted to commit too much yet.
Taking their time on the slow entry. Zeruhh and Sugarfree pulse bombs in the back of both of their pockets. The Tidal Blast from Zeruhh goes for the knockdown in the front line. The Suzu, perfect out of tank though. Makes that Coluge will stay on his feet. All these teams, they're playing it slow. Team Freedom have the better ultimates to work with, but Zeruhh, pulse bomb, thrown onto Vega's back. He goes kaboom, and there's little that Team Freedom can do to help sustain this fight. Everyone has to play within Landon's Kitsune Rush. Hope the extra bursts of healing are enough. And for Coluge, just barely down to 21 HP, and they're still hunting him down. He will not get out of the fight the way that he wants to. Team Liberty rounding that final corner, overclock in the clutches of Tree, but he's doing so well with normal Sojourn. Who needs the empowered railgun to close this one out? Sugarfree, Tidal Blast, looking to go through, blast Ultraviolet into tomorrow, and now fighting Tree with the overclock, not one he wants to take. Tree back up to the high ground, looking for deny. This final touch, there goes Sugarfree, finally, what a predict on the blink. It'll be a full completion for Team Liberty is they're gonna remain flawless within these trials today, despite all the switching that's gone around.
Oh, that was disgusting. Near the end there from Tree, I can't lie. And Shadow Hawk actually rocks Coluge out of the flux during all of the chaos and the tracer flanks and everything. That really just gave the team an extra little boost. You save a lot of resources. You can save Suzu for Suzu later in the fight. Great plays right there from Hawk. And yeah, already we are 4 maps in. We got 2 more maps to go. But again, it feels like everybody is getting some plays here and there. The chemistry has been building. And again, a lot of pre-existing relationships with a lot of these players. You got a lot of members from the Team USA core. And I shouldn't say Team USA core. From the Team Liquid, just roster in general. Like, the gang's all here. You got several members from Dallas Fuel here as well. So it has been fun to see kind of the overlinkings here from NA, OWCS, and then plus Landon over there in EMEA. Everybody kind of getting used to it.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, as we're seeing the coaches allow a little bit more flexibility, too, between what the players are able to showcase, I think it's, again, hinting back to that point that beyond kind of these more, I guess, basic comps that we're used to seeing, what can these players do to figure out what's working, what isn't? Will they make those adaptations mid-map, which we saw a couple here, but also some other fun things, like the support swap-ish out of Lukemino and Ultraviolet with the Wuyang hero. We probably wouldn't have seen Ultraviolet pull out today had it not been for this very specific map.
Yeah, no, it's been nice. At least that game, to see what these teams wanted to play. And granted, it ended up kind of being a mirror match, other than, you know, the Genji from Sugarfree during the first round. But it has been nice to at least see a little bit of changes and some diversity here and there from these rosters on what they want to try and do.
Yeah, they've had a decent amount of opportunities to, you know, show what they really have. And I think it has been... It's very difficult to say, even from our perspective, like, who really may have an upper hand at this. And I think it is going to come down to those things that we can't necessarily see from a front-facing part outside of perhaps a couple of positions. And that's, like, the exact level of competition we want to see from just the United States as a whole. The Overwatch scene being as strong and even as it is.
Yeah, we do actually have a comp now for the Nationals. So we're going back to set comps. And guess what, Lucio Kiri, it's back, everybody. It is here to stay. It's going to be a new Junk City that we are going to next. A little bit of Flashpoint action. It's going to be Domina, Soj, and Symmetra as the other 3. So our first action, seeing Domina tonight. I thought there was maybe a chance we saw it over on Havana, but it's been Sigma's map for years. Not a shock that it continued to be Sigma's map. As we take a look back here at the last few rounds, but this will be, again, another different blend showing off one of those new heroes with Domino.
I'm assuming we're going to get Infekted back in as well. He's been, I think, outside of the first map, I don't think we've seen him other than the Ramatra. Domina has been, you know, not really a hero that I think has taken either role necessarily, just because we're at that point in 5v5. That when we've seen him play plenty of times with Winthrop University to decent amounts of success. But the big piece is also the Symmetra. That's like the pinnacle of communication. Do you know your strategies? It's such a niche of knowing how to play her to the highest level. So what is that communication going to look like within the team? Like, I want to see the big brain plays start to come out as we look into this next couple of maps, where beyond like the raw mechanics of these poke comps to more of these overall team play and positioning pieces.
Yeah, especially how much dominant tech can you show off, right? As, again, this new hero, it feels like everybody's at least trying to get a good grasp of now. It's not like, you know, that opening week, I saw 5 different playstyles for the hero going at the same time, and I think we've at least settled in on a few, but it has been cool to see how everybody has been playing her. That was a clutch title blast. Jeez, looking at that back. What an unreal play that was from Vega. Just to keep their Sigma up during the fight. But no, this will be an interesting one to see how teams want to play it. And again, the Lucio makes sense because we're on Flashpoint. You need the Lucio to speed everybody around. Not a real shock that we're going to see that continue. And again, being, at least for the sports here in these trials, being able to play Lucio Kiri is probably #1 on the list. Like, if you can play it well, you can have the communication structure for it. Some of those little bit of flicks at the end for Tree.
It's crazy.
Granted, it's been a lot of Kronik at day 1 and even beginning of day 2, but it's not like Tree has been playing bad by any stretch, and really starting to get his own clips here during the back half of day 2.
Yeah, and it's like the one of those roles that I'm really like, who has the upper hand in this? Because I see both appeals. I feel like Tree has like the longer experience, I think, of playing at the highest level that we're used to seeing, but even then, like, Kronik has absolutely been trying it out there, and it does show that you might have had, I think he's been competing since, I literally went and wrote this down, he's started playing in 2021, and has had this huge rise just in OWCS 2025, and with many players and fans alike not becoming all that familiar with him, so having kind of these pop-off plays and showing that he can give more of these established superstars a run for their money. It's quite fun to watch, as again, they'll be sticking on the Sojourn, heading into New Junk City, and I believe is the only change. The support lines also remaining the same. It'll be Infekted for Team Freedom, and Hawk will stay in to play the Domino for Team Liberty.
Yeah, so Coluge subbed out, Infekted subbed in for this one. Yeah, it's been really fun to see a lot of these, different combinations, right? You wouldn't normally get to see Tree and Sugarfree play together. You don't normally get to see Zeruhh and Kronik play together. So it's been really fun to see some of these new DPS potential lineups here for the United States for the World Cup and how they want to play around it. And even the support line. Granted, a lot of these players have actually played together or have played in the same program. Like Landon's actually a Northwood, former Northwood player, signed on to London Spitfire when he was at Northwood. Now Vega is at Northwood. So there's definitely, again, some very interesting and niche links between a lot of these players as we get out ready here for New Junk City. And the sim is not just for the TP. It should be played during the entirety of this map.
Yeah, again, that's kind of the point that I'm most interested in, that and of course how the Domina will be used mechanically. And with how this first point is, it's a game of cat and mouse, and if you lose this early poke battle, there's not much you could do. The teleport wasn't even needed. It was just to get these teams to the point faster. It was Vega and Landon who came up with those eliminations first. It didn't even give Team Liberty a chance to show what they could offer in this first fight.
Yeah, and some little extracurriculars there from one Team Liquid DPS to another. And again, a lot of good fun between these players, obviously. They all know they're trialing to be on the United States roster for the World Cup, which is a dream for a lot of these players. But, it is still pretty lighthearted here from time to time, making sure they can have a laugh through a tree. Already has the 100 charge, trying to look for one of these squishies.
Not the thing you want to see if you are a Team Liberty player. Whew! Little dicey there for Lukemino, but he's able to skirt on out of danger. Infekted, on the other hand, playing much closer with fire, but does not care if he's sub 200 HP. He's still going to attempt to walk down onto Landon and Vega, or onto Ultraviolet and Lukemino. Anyways, Team Freedom have been pretty snappy about holding these chokes. A nice little dive there from Tree. Kind of has helped to steal this off, and I think overall, Infekted looking comfortable on this hero.
Oh, very much so. I don't think there's any sort of uncomfortability so far from Sugarfree on the sim, and it's been a really rolling so far in this one. It'll be one more touch from Team Liberty, especially with the help of the sim TP, and I think Lukemino pushes underneath to go to point.
Yeah, I'll get you there, but it leaves you the 4v5 in the front line. Team Freedom know it. The way these photon barriers are placed, it's not something Team Liberty can get a ton of value out of. The only thing they did was rotate to the point with part of their team. That is a sound barrier just to kill Zeruhh, by the way. They were not taking any chances when it comes to that particular push, and without it, Team Liberty down the majority of the damage, in fact all of it, as Kronik also gets buried 6 feet under. Infekted, last player really to run this one down, make sure there are no survivors. It'll be a short-lived cap and a well-played play from Team Freedom to identify the split in the team.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you give up 39% if you still win the flashpoint anyway, so good split from Team Freedom, and they will gain in the first flashpoint of New Junk City. Now the rotate game begins, and Team Liberty, just due to when they spawned in, they get plenty of time to go over. Sugarfree though, TP's right behind him, but pays the price.
Yeah, sometimes those can work out, but not if Kronik is looking right at you with the Disruptor shot. And he's still gonna fry away. My goodness, Kronik It's like every time he gets one, the floodgates open, and they're like, oh, feed me more.
It's like, hey, you're gonna walk through that? All right, let's go. So, like, Kronik is always ready for a fight. There is no doubt about that. It's gonna be an easy cap for Team Liberty to start off here on the second flashpoint. Even for Team Liberty, you have sound barrier advantage. You still have Panopticon. And granted, yes, both teams have that overclock, but Hawk could easily at least shut down the initial from Tree.
The overclock in, but yeah, again, the respect over to that ult. Very much needed out of Lukemino, and yeah, because of that Tree kind of silenced when it comes to that big mechanical play we're used to seeing from him. He kind of did get a flip back over. They still have Landon to hold this. I don't think that you're really going to stick around all that much, especially with Kronik kind of returning. We saw the fire in his eyes before, and I think Team Freedom, they're okay with keeping that at once throughout.
Yeah, Freedom get 15% purely due to the fear that Tree is going to snipe somebody's head off with the leftover overclock charge.
But hey, understandable. Why not just wait until you can get this Kitsune Rush, and hey, you can play Lawnmower. Kronik is sent back to spawn the long way. Panopticon does end up coming out, though. Infekted, fighting for his life with a stun from Hawk. He's in a corner times 2 at this point. How many players he is surrounded by from Team Liberty. Hawk, great Panopticon there is a rather risky play. You have to say, seeing that Kronik was already down, but one that Team Freedom absolutely were not prepared for.
No, not prepared for one bit, but it will be. Team Liberty flipping this one right back over. Tree already looking to try to find some early blood here in this fight, but hasn't been able to find any. Will get zoned out by Hawk. And I will say, it's been really nice to see Hawk back playing. Obviously took a little bit of a break for a year or so. Post Overwatch League, kind of took some coaching, but it's nice to see him back playing and now a chance to play for the United States.
His second time as well. We sound barrier for Team Freedom. And oh, there goes Hawk. It's like we just had to talk about him, and he died. Jesse, that one's on you. Yeah, that one's on you.
That one's on me.
I can't be the one doing it all the time. That's just not fair. We gotta even it out, and Team Freedom actually will even out the point percentage. By the way, that looks.
Yeah, no, it's just like last week. You know, we had some C9s last week.
Oh, don't say that. Don't say that.
I know. Maybe it's just Johnny and Jake's curse. Maybe.
I'm gonna say, if we get a C9 on this map, it is 100% Jesse's fault. But Tree will look to deny that, since the point is already under Team Freedom's control. He'll happily clean up the rest and bring out his good old broomstick for that. So 2 points now for Team Freedom. We will be going to all 5, though, as a reminder for the code that we are on.
Yeah, regardless, it's just like at Control. Regardless, we'll play out all 5 flashpoints just to make sure everybody gets enough practice and gets enough trial time during the map. You don't want to jip anybody. You know, some precious playing time here during the trials process. Freedom already on point. Already Tree going in.
Woo! Goodbye, Kronik. He tried to slide away, but Tree had him locked in on his crosshairs. The aim on this guy is just ridiculous. Every time you see it, like, can it get any better? Absolutely. And he's firing it up. 14 Freedom. Okay, that felt
more
personal.
Than just an
that felt
extracurricular.
personal.
Yeah. That's just a little bit extra there from Tree, making sure that, hey, you know, I'm here. Like, I am here, ready to play and ready to showcase what I can provide for the U.S. As Kronik on the flank has this overclock. I don't think Team Freedom see them yet, but they TP out before any true damage can be done.
There's a Kronik looking around every corner. Well, I would never walk around another corner again, I would tell you that. Team Freedom seem to share that mentality. Gonna use the photon barrier just to fully deny that flight, which will work out for Team Liberty in the long run, depending on how much value Zeruhh can get out of one of his own here. But of course, the high ground very much in control of the team in red. Blue side looking to change that around as soon as possible. Support ult's almost online. Look at the cap for free, but they still don't have that positioning. They need something to go their way first, and Kronik will find that opening shot to shut down Tree and kind of this mini tear he's been going on for New Junk City so far. Sound barriers on either side. Hawk still has the Panopticon in play. He got a ton of value out of it last time it was pulled, but doesn't have a clear sightline of where to use it. The teleporter puts everybody out of danger, gets Team Freedom back over to the point, and leading us on a wild goose chase, but that's the Panopticon he wanted to see. He's gonna fly away in the kill feed and sets it up perfectly for Team Liberty to get that fight win.
Patience, patience, patience there from Hawk, and it pays off, and Lukemino even gets a cheeky little 3K during the chaos of it. But beautiful Panopticon realizing 3 members in a closed corridor space, and then knock into the wall as well to deny breaking the Panopticon. Now look at this, being aggressive.
Landon saw his life flash before his eyes. He barely got the swift step on out before he was smacked against a wall there. Will be enough for that time, but he didn't really have the cooldown for that time. Zeruhh had him locked up in the Symmetra, so while Team Freedom have control of the point, they have 0 healing to work with. It's only this Panopticon that gives them a fighting chance, and at that, a very weak one. Team Freedom get the flip back over. Zeruhh returning the favor to Tree in the back line as Team Liberty will get a flashpoint of their own.
He's like, I can do that too, you know. Like, I can do a little bit of a cheeky pop off there. Yeah, I'd love to see a little bit of the banter between these two. Another long rotate over. Haven't really gotten blessed with some of these quick rotates that you sometimes can on New Junk City as Team Liberty make their way over. But you can see actually on the left, if you're curious about the real-time stats, everybody, it is there on the top left of your screen. So far, leading the way in eliminations is Tree and Sugarfree. Now it's just Tree.
I was gonna say, Tree is like, I can't be even with anybody. I am the best player here. Deal with it. Yeah, I'd say that's pretty reasonable. Sugarfree, of course, did come up with 2 of his own, but that's a very efficient fight out of Team Freedom to get the first cap.
Oh, yeah, just 1 ultimate? That's it?
Sick.
Perfection. Right, like that's, you can't ask for more than that from Tree to set it all up. Kronik will look to have an answer. He's been a little bit more quiet during New Junk City than he has been during most of this trials tonight. We'll now have an answer, opportunity to answer, but these photon barriers may make that just a little bit tricky.
Yeah, it was like, oh, we get to straight do something with an overclock. Well, he didn't have a photon barrier or a sound barrier in his face to do that with. Kronik certainly does, amongst many other things. So it's more of a, how many cooldowns can we force? You have sound barriers to engage from either side at this point, so Team Liberty up to decide what they would like to do next. It will be the Consuming Rush from Ultraviolet first. Vega pulling the trigger, perfect time, making sure the health bars are refreshed. So this next push from Landon will hit extra harder. In fact, they are the ones that get taken down. They all try to play within the Consuming Rush, but Zeruhh peaked level 3 on the sim bead, but everyone got thrown into the microwave and burnt to a crisp.
Yeah, the microwave just goes burr a little too strong sometimes with the Symmetra, even after all of the changes. There's a reason why she's kind of been stable in the meta for a very long time in organized play. And I'm guessing some teams from EMEA, that is music to their ears right now.
Hey, understandably, I think having the Symmetra be that one kind of key defining factor for OWCS finals last year and for the EMEA special that everyone's starting to pick up. It helps, but doesn't really help Hawk in this case. He's locked in his own bubble, and it's so easy for Tree to hit things and people can't shoot back at him. Who would have guessed? Panopticon return from Hawk. He actually comes up with 2. And throughout the result of this, and one of those being Landon, makes Infekted with a very low health bar with no one else left from Team Liberty. He will survive, and Team Freedom will get an unofficial first map on the board.
Yeah, there you go. Team Freedom. Hey, they got a score, everybody. You know, they got something. As Ultraviolet just kind of left for dead here on the rotate will allow Team Freedom so much time to get these turrets set up and TP set up. Team Liberty, they have to play this a little bit slow. They have no ultimates yet, but Kronik is about to have his, and due to Tree using his during the end of the last flashpoint, they got completely free reign unless Sugarfree can really build this photon barrier fast.
Love to see, because it would be like the best way for Team Freedom to get themselves into this fight and more so just shut down Kronik, but perhaps he smelled that would be something later. Well, does collide with a few bits of architecture on the way in. He'll still manage to claim Sugarfree's life before the ultimate expends. What a flank from Kronik. And nobody on Team Freedom could bat an eye. Adam was already too late with the position he was in.
Yeah, it's one of those car accidents that you see it happening, but it's like there's nothing can change it, right? And that was exactly what that was right there from Kronik. Just completely wrecking shop on the flank and earns the first point cap here of the final flashpoint of New Junk City. And they even have the Kitsune rush, but now Landon will have one to answer.
He's gonna have to hold it. It's really just Ultraviolet that came out, realized there was no imminent threat of it, so they're gonna end up cycling these a tad bit later, but the sound barrier from Vega, a half second short of saving his Symmetra's life, so a decrease in damage. If this were to go on too long with where Team Liberty's health bars are at, I can't imagine Team Freedom will allow them to survive all that much longer.
Yeah, Team Freedom, they will lock it down. I mean, I try to hunt Kronik, like, we know the crimes you committed. Like, why do you think you're getting out? But eventually, they still will. There's a little bit of a dogfight still over here at my point. Panopticon used, and Lukemino is capitalized off of it.
Yeah, it was a really bold decision. I mean, having Landon, of all players, be the one to get picked off first for Team Freedom. Infekted must have saw into the future. He's like, you know what, team? This is it. I'm going to be the hero. And he absolutely was for Team Freedom in that fight.
Yeah, a fight that maybe didn't feel like it was going to get flipped back over to Team Freedom. And yet it does. But now the Panopticon still in the hands of Hawk. I was about to say we're having another game of tic-tac-toe, but Sugarfree not even close to having a photon barrier. So all signs lead to a Liberty fight win, except that. That's a big issue.
Yeah, that's not great. Especially when Kronik has been the one to lay down most of this poke damage for Team Liberty. It is final fight regardless on this map. But Zeruhh is up most of this incoming damage from Team Freedom. The touch is there. The teleporter almost got Hawk out to safety, but Infekted one step ahead and shutting down his dominant counterpart. Kronik returned to the fight with a vengeance. Overclock in hand, but no health to work with. Infekted again when it comes to this Domina has been immaculate to watch. Now the end of New Junk City, and I like this new flavor of new tank heroes that we got.
Yeah, no, seeing the Dominant get involved in a lot of different ways you can play around it. Honestly, both tanks play pretty well. No real complaints from me on that. And you can tell maybe Zeruhh, maybe not the most comfortable on the sim, but he definitely warmed up as that map went on. And I don't think it's a shock to say, maybe not his best hero out there, but the Tracer has looked great tonight. So I don't think that's going to be something that will really worry him too much as we get going. But we have a little bit of highlights here from map 5 of the trials. We only got one map to go, Molly. Just think about that. We have been going straight through this trial run, and we're going to see what that final one is soon.
Oof. Yeah, it's really been one after another, which I think is good for these players. It doesn't give them like a time to cool down more than you would want them to. So but we've kind of just been running straight through. You're on a strategy to discuss since the compositions are already set for you with all but one of our maps so far. And I am kind of back to this point again of the level of flexibility, and I think the different play styles have been shining through. I think Zeruhh, for the majority of what we've seen his strengths be in the past, has been on these heroes that he can kind of solo carry and put the team in his backpack. Symmetra, one of those, I don't think you see that as much, or at least as easily in the kill feed compared to other points. And I think Sugarfree having a little bit more experience in that department really helps set it apart for Team Freedom there.
Yeah, Sugarfree, one of the 3 members from the 2023 squad that is once again trialing here for 2026. And the United States in general is looking for a better result than last time around, right? Yeah. Top 8 got swept by China in the quarterfinals, which granted, China is not the easiest quarterfinal pull, but it is still a result that a lot of players will say, like, hey, we should have done better last time around. Let's show what the United States can do with this next generation of talent potentially going through the mix. I mean, now we have our rosters for the final trial of the night. It'll be Painkiller subbing back in, so Hawk actually got a lot of playtime tonight. Yeah. Painkiller coming back in after stepping out for a few.
Yeah, he'll be back in to play this Ramatra that we got a glimpse of back on Jang Tower there. But this time it will be a bit of a switch up, and the Vendetta will come back in like we saw on Esperanza, but without the Zarya bubbles this time. So it's more seeing the individual impacts that these players can have, which they both had their shining moments before, so they're able to pull out here on Runasapi.
It is the time of the year for that one shining moment, and let's see if one of these players can just give us another one here in this mirror matchup. I think, yeah, Painkiller been in for both of these Ramatra maps as well, so a nice way for him to showcase one of his better heroes.
Yeah, I think this is a more comfortable point than some of the other heroes that we've had come out earlier today. But Zeruhh straight into the back line. It's quick work of Kronik's health bar before coming back in to finish him off. But it's just this individual mechanics out of this guy are insane. It's always a treat to watch what he can do. Last week, Runasapi was the map of Zeruhh, and so far, he's looking to put up that same dominant performance again.
Yeah, he's just disgusting on this hero, man. Like, what can I say? He's just absolutely fantastic. And even without the Zarya bubbles, there is no worry. Vega able to pick up the final on his Team Liberty steamroll during that first fight, and now set up a beautiful start here to Runasapi. That's exactly what you want from your Vendetta. Getting up close and personal, no fear whatsoever, but still has the aim to hit those overhead strikes and to finish up a lot of the squishies.
Yeah, I want to have more eyeballs on Vega and Lukemino for this point too, because they're one of the main players that can actually disperse a Vendetta from your core of your team. So watching how they are kind of sitting with likely Kronik or Tree, depending on which team you are looking at, will be important when you see Sugarfree and Zeruhh get a bit more active at this fight, but Team Freedom have a good lock around this corner. You need something, a little bit more firepower to get you through it. It will be Ultraviolet. It's soon a rush, significant lead over Landon. As Liberty will snowball their way into a first cap as Zeruhh look to lead them there once again. Great finish on Landon with the last slice, and yeah, this is a great start for Team Liberty.
You can't get much better. You only have to use the Kitsune Rush as well for it already. A good 20% lead on Landon. So there's no way to complain if you're Team Liberty. You want to leave a good final impression, and so far they have.
I know, this is usually say first impressions matter, but Zeruhh, last impressions may be a thing here of today. Okay, maybe not that time. I'll take the caster curse on that one. Didn't get the sound barrier, so it will be Sugarfree turning this room into a blender of Team Liberty players.
What is that, 2-1 now, the count for the caster curses?
Yeah. My bad.
Yeah, I'm going to hold on to that one. Hopefully I don't have
Alright, we're keeping scoreboard now? Alright.
Hey, maybe just you know, a tiny bit. But it will be Team Freedom. They reset the spawns for Team Liberty, who will have a pretty easy way to get back over to this. But there is one member from Team Liberty who actually got the far spawn, so it takes a little bit longer for them to get back into the fray. But a lot of these key ultimates now building up for Team Freedom. Hoping for them, maybe not popping all of them at once. See if you can have a similar snowball than what Team Liberty had.
All good resources to pull, but Tree, of course, a scary sight to behold when the overclock is in his hand. There we go, has it on to Landon. Majority of the say staying gone, so Team Freedom have the choice. Are they going to try to regroup and wait for Landon to get back, or push the robot forwards? And it seems like the call is to kite for now.
Yeah, especially with it being your Kiriko that is gone. It's just so much healing, and you lose the Suzu. It's just not worth trying to fight it out. Especially when you still have 3 ultimates going into this next fight compared to just the Annihilation from Hawk. So as long as you deny forward spawns, you're good.
Woo!
Oh, but Landon's dead again.
Well, I mean, Landon never got back to the fight to begin with, and Tree just beheaded Kronik in a not-so-ceremonious fashion. And this just has not been the map for the Team Freedom backline at all. Landon and Kronik been the main targets.
Yeah, and poor, I'll say it's 2-2, because I'm saying, like, oh, Landon just needs to be back for this fight. And then gets killed right as the fight starts. So maybe not the ideal start there for Team Freedom to that one. And the lead extends, and Ultraviolet has the Kitsune Rush just to kind of push this forward. It does.
Yeah, I was wondering, is this finally the moment to see the Annihilations because of the Kitsune Rush? And yeah, it seems to be. But Ultraviolet TPing in to get a Suzu on the Hawk. Cost him his life in the end, with Sugarfree being in the position that he was, Hawk living a lot longer than he probably should be legally allowed to. But it works out for Team Liberty. They'll get the robot a couple extra of meters forwards after Sugarfree finishes his fun depths and sword maneuvers.
Yeah, he's like, there's been a lot of hype about this this Zeruhh guy. Time for me to get into the mix. Again, continuing to push on here. As the Soldiers have really not had to do a whole lot, I will say, during this. Tree is 2-3, Kronik 0-5. Maybe a little bit of a rough start to this map for him, but it's been a lot of kind of poking out and using that disruptor shot to deny space rather than trying to find those opening picks.
It's more so a survival game for these Sojourns and how well your supports are able to play with you. In this case, you have the sound barrier if you're Kronik and Sugarfree, but even that wasn't enough to keep him alive through Tree's own overclock shot. Team Liberty even got the robot at a tad bit of a standstill. That's not gonna last long. We saw Painkiller just fly in around the corner, definitely breaking a couple speed limits to do so, as it should be forward spawns close to cap.
Yeah, hope they didn't have a dash cam considering how fast they were going. That was a speedy arrival. Team Liberty will have another touch here for this final one, and they will have the sound barrier to work around, and Suzu already gone from Landon.
Yeah, it's gonna force the Kitsune rush out, and that's something Team Liberty will fight in if they have a bajillion overhealth to work with. Zeruhh doing his best spin to win impression in the back line, and while he won't come up with final blows for himself, he paved the way for his team to do the rest. Great call from Vega on that sound barrier push.
You know, sometimes the aggro beats don't always work out, but sometimes like that, it's perfection because they really caught Team Freedom off guard, able to push on forward, deny all the momentum that Team Freedom had during the previous engagement. Forward spawns re-engaged here by Team Liberty, and they're content just playing at this corner. No reason to play into the high ground of Team Freedom.
Not at all, especially if you don't have to take the space, but even then, Tree stays around the corner a tad bit too long. Painkiller on the hunt with his Ramatra. Hasn't had the best of luck so far on Runa Sophie. Looking to turn that around for Team Freedom. Amongst the rest of it is turning player after player into his own personal punching bag.
Yeah, and poor Ultraviolet TPs to help their Lucio, and the Vega's like, all right, bye. See you later. Have fun with Sugarfree with the giant sword. Team Freedom, still about 2.5 minutes. And we could see another comeback like we did on Esperanza. It's not impossible, especially on a map like this.
Overclock from Kronik, though, to help with Sugarfree. Everybody from Team Liberty tries to stick their head underground to annoy the pain, but Vega, unfortunately, not given that option as he is sliced in two. Team Liberty still going to push forward. It's Hawk on this annihilation, latching Painkiller blow for blow, who's rather just trying to live than anything else, and the fact that he stayed alive as long as he has means that there's time for Sugarfree to come in, pick up a double, and start trading this out for Team Freedom.
Yeah, the fact that Painkiller, sometimes you want those annihilations to be super aggressive, sometimes you just need to live. You need the extra armor health, and that's exactly what it was that time for Painkiller. And, well, Ultraviolet is going to find one more cheeky pick on their way out.
And that's not really support you want to mess with
no,
Sugarfree. He's like, I got full health. No, you don't. That's a Kiriko that you're looking at. Sound barrier from Lukemino. Just to kind of put an end to this fight. It was going on for quite a while. The bloodbath it is, and where the robot's at, I don't blame Lukemino for that at all.
No, now you put yourself in one fight territory with the Kitsune Rush. Granted, you have to deal with the ults from both DPS of Team Liberty, who are, you know, Team Liberty, Team Liquid, the TL duo, still going strong. But that's really about it. It's a lot of pressure on the Tree to find the opener.
Ooh. Yeah, but he doesn't really want to mess with the Kitsune Rush nor Sugarfree flying at him head first. There's Zeruhh, though, thundering slice. Grabs Lukemino once more. Within that final minute, it was the best spot for Team Liberty to attempt to put their foot down. Kronik still getting a couple on the way out. It just won't matter too much in the long run as Zeruhh still has a giant knife to swing at people. Is that a knife or is that a sword? I don't technically know what that's called with that skin.
I think with the pure size, I think you have to call it a sword. I don't know. I don't know how many people have.
Or...
Yeah, I don't know.
That's yeah.
Everybody in chat, let us know what you think. I'm actually very curious on what people are thinking on this one.
I don't know, maybe there's some more with the collab, but it doesn't really do much if you don't have overhealth to stop him. And you can slice with the sword, you can spin with the sword, you can throw projectiles with the sword. You want to know what you can do with it? Well, just watch Zeruhh. He's going to get another one here on the Landon, because why the heck not? Rudasapi was his map last week, and I got to say, Jesse, it was his map today. Is he going to go ahead and do it for our 6th map? And Team Liberty will take that one away.
Yeah, they'll take it, and Team Liberty wins the trials, obviously. Yeah, I don't know if there's any winning here going on, but obviously some players will feel good, given how they played today. I think everybody has a right to feel pretty good. I think pretty much every player had a few maps where they were shining really well. I think it helps for the DPS and supports. Like, they're playing every single series, because it is just the 4 of them for each role. So it's not like you have to sit on the bench, kind of watch the other games go on like these tanks do, which I can't imagine how brutal that can be sometimes. But a lot of great moments across the board. Yeah, some rough moments here and there, you know, a little bit of a falling off the map and, you know, some other shenanigans going on. But I think overall a very successful trial night here for a lot of these trialists trying to make it on the USA.
Yeah, and we got quite a bit too with these other players coming in to kind of help support and see all of the, like, what Team USA could have to offer for this Overwatch World Cup that we have coming up soon. And, you know, we talk about all the players. I mean, yes, that is who we came here to watch, but there's also a bunch of really cool people behind the scenes that make this happen, from all of our production that you see on screen, the Team USA, or the USA Overwatch World Cup committee themselves, to make sure that everything is organized. We're able to have these showcases for the fans too.
Yeah, no, shout out everybody behind the scenes. You know, a lot of names. If you guys have been around the Overwatch scene in NA, you're going to recognize a lot of these names. So again, shout out to everybody for helping out, as well as Hippie for helping out last week. But yeah, if you take a little bit of a look back at how today went, again, started off on Jang Tower, everybody kind of going crazy in the Ramatra duel, and it just set the stage for an amazing night of trials.
Absolutely. I think we've kind of seen where these players can kind of pick up and leave off. We're past that halfway point, only one more day left to go, which will be happening tomorrow, I believe, at 8 p.m. Eastern once again, for all 12 of our players to see who in fact will be making the final Overwatch World Cup team to represent the US this year. But I gotta say, from today, I feel like the race in several of these roles is still incredibly close. It's gonna come down to those things like the communications and pieces like that you don't really see from this very front of house type of look. The mechanics are strong. We can see like where like that Team Liquid core, or aka kind of the Winthrop side, or maybe pulling from sort of this SSG sort of synergy in a way, can play out and affect the way that these players could have a chance in moving on to represent the country.
Yeah, I think everybody has a chance right now to make it on to USA for the Americas qualifier, and I think it's a great thing to say. It shows how deep this the nation is now in talent. There are countless players who I'm like, man, they could have had a shot at trials, who didn't make the cut to even be here, and that's just because it's so deep right now, and how many players are in this country who are so good at the game and want that shot. And again, a lot of new blood here. We have a lot of younger players entering the mix this year, whether it be, you know, Infekted, Zeruhh. Those are several of those who are into the mix. But then you also have a few veterans, right? Like Sugarfree and Ultraviolet, who have been here before, and they want to have that experience again. They want to avenge how 2023 ended and make their stamp over in Anaheim. So it's going to be a really interesting day tomorrow to see how these last day of trials go, and the final portfolio that'll be presented to the coaches and the committee here for the United States to pick the final 7 players to go into that qualifier.
Yeah, there's, again, 12 fantastic players. I really wish we could have all of them. That'd be really cool, but then at that point we would have 2 teams representing. So, not quite, but out of these 12, we'll see half, maybe a little bit over half, that will be represented. And they got one more chance tomorrow again to show us what they are made of, and combination veteran talent and this new blood that continues to be on the rise, kind of the past and present and future of what the United States has to offer in terms of fielding for their Overwatch roster. So, Jesse, I think that's going to go ahead and do it for us here on the broadcast for day 2 of our Overwatch World Cup trials. Again, make sure you come back, give all of our channels a follow for the Overwatch World Cup Team USA side of things to stay updated on the results of this trials, get to watch these players even more, amongst so much other fun content that is going on behind the scenes. It's going to end the broadcast for now, but we'll see you back here at 8 p.m. EST tomorrow for the conclusion of these trials. Thank you so much, and have a great rest of your night.